All right, we've got our layer of finish, or our level of finish in this guy, which we pretty much worked up all in the last few demos from his sketch. So now we want to bring that same level of finish to everyone else. So we've got the bow tie. Maybe I want to get one extra step in there. Remember, you can steal colors from yourself. One extra step of gray. That will help me in the other bow ties. Then for the shirt, to kind of build the shadows I want for that. I wish there was a simpler way to do collared shirts. I have to do so many of them in cartoons and illustrations. Some cartoonists just do 2 arrows. Very simple, but I think that would distract from everything else we have. Just trying to get the values right so they're not distracting, but they make sense. Remember, transitions, lower opacities, especially in the skin. Lots of back and forth. Okay, so that's a nice level of finish for him down there. If I want to soften the border a little bit, I can use a bigger brush, use the white, kind of just tap around the edges a little bit, kind of bite away from it. Okay, now onto his brother. So I'm going to mark this now. Finishing, my finishing layer, or finishes. Bring it all back to the top. Some artists love to change brushes for each of these stages, but I find that that's a little problematic. The reason is you can start to tell the difference between the really thin, sharp, bristly brush that's used for finishes and the flat, soft-edged brush that was used for underpainting. And you spend a lot of time trying to erase those distinctions, not in color, not in value, but just in the texture of the brush itself. So by using the same brush throughout, that's kind of a nicely versatile brush, I'm not able to get a photorealistic finish with it, which is not what I'm going for, but I am able to maintain a consistency. Now I see that speed painting phase that we did at the very beginning, kind of like those color in the dots coloring books that I had as a kid, where they had ink printed with the right colors and you just used a wet paintbrush and filled them in. But the problem is they were all very soft and smudgy. So now this step is all about the defining the in-betweens, like blending between those colors, finding the variations. And so the color is already there on the page. I'm just sharpening it where it needs to be sharpened and blending it where it needs to be blended. Smoothing it and trying to leave basically the sharp edges alone that are already working, but maybe develop their color a little bit more. So it's very subtle. You don't even need to be that zoomed in to do it. See, but just all those little variations in that finishing layer makes a lot of difference. And having these big expanses of flat color also doesn't look much like traditional painting if you're trying to get it away from the digital realm. You always want to break it up a little bit, because even paint right out of the tube, depending on how thick it is and the surface you're painting on, will vary as you paint it in a flat, though digital color will not. So there's a pretty low opacity for the skin. For the hair, I'm going to go a little bit higher. Break up these values a bit. But if there's already textures there that are working, I don't want to mess with that too much. Just adding a little bit of all the colors in everywhere. Bring them together. A little bit more red in his ears. So I can introduce that without having to repaint anything. And then because I'm using my own brush, which isn't uniformly soft, even when it's at a lower opacity, I can use it to kind of cut sharps if I just repeat enough. I'm looking to him for my level of finish. So I don't want to overdo how clean things are. Just want to find the right level. it'll get easier and easier with each face I do to kind of match that level. Remember, I said my goal in caricature was to make them look distinct. You know, so you're playing up on things that are different between them. Coloring, proportions, expressions. In brothers, it's tempting to just make them look almost identical because there are so many similarities. But I think it's all the more reason to try to find differentiation between them. And then the flatness of that nose I can break up, steal a little bit of that orange. Since he's a little bit older, the edges are going to be a little bit sharper. In his face. And if you find a level of finish that you like more in the other, I don't like how much I outlined his eyes there. I can kind of bring it back. So that's looking good. Looks good at a distance. That works. Let's see. A little bit more in the neck. I'll move on to the next face. Now in terms of the bow tie, going to zoom out a little bit for that, for the shirt and bow tie, make sure everything kind of makes sense together. And nothing should be pure white within your design, only around it. So I steal my shadows, shadow for the collar there, back. This bow tie is a little bit more interesting because it's at the angle. Steal the colors. I get to paint that in. And as the artist, you get to be the fashion consultant too. If his collar is a little bit too wide for his proportions, you get to fix that. Make it a bit more proportional, a bit nicer. Shoulder line is very important, and neckline as well.